Welcome back to Mastering Healthcare Administration. In this lesson, we continue exploring international business, the New Realities 6th edition. Today's focus is Chapter 5, Theories of International Trade and Investment. Trade and investment are the lifeblood of the global economy. They determine how goods, services, knowledge, and even healthcare innovation move around the world. Every time you use a smartphone designed in California and assembled in China, or a medical device developed in Germany and distributed globally, you're experiencing the outcome of centuries of trade theory at work. In this chapter, we'll explore why nations trade, how they gain advantage, why firms expand internationally, and what theories explain modern global strategy. Segment 1, Why Nations Trade. Let's begin with the simple question. Why do nations trade at all? Trade allows countries to specialize in what they produce best, exchange efficiently, and raise living standards. The fewer restrictions on this exchange, what we call free trade, the more each nation can benefit. There are three foundational ideas here. First, free trade, the relative absence of restrictions or tariffs on imports and exports. Second, comparative advantage, a nation's superior features, either natural like resources or acquired like technology or skilled labor. Third, competitive advantage, a firm's unique capabilities that allow it to outperform rivals. Consider Apple. Its iPhones are designed in the United States, use semiconductors from Taiwan, are assembled in China, and sold worldwide. Apple leverages comparative advantages of nations, low-cost manufacturing and specialized expertise, while relying on its competitive advantage in design and innovation. Classical trade theories. Let's take a historical journey through classical economic thinking. First is mercantilism. In the 16th century, mercantilists believed nations grew rich by exporting more than they imported, hoarding gold, and controlling colonies. The problem? It turned trade into a zero-sum game. One nation's gain was another's loss. Second, absolute advantage. Adam Smith. In 1776, Adam Smith challenged mercantilism. He argued that if each nation specializes in producing goods it can make most efficiently and trades for others, everyone benefits. That's the principle of absolute advantage. Third, comparative advantage. David Ricardo. David Ricardo refined this further in 1817. Even if one nation is more efficient in producing everything, trade can still benefit both parties if each specializes in what it does relatively better. This is comparative advantage, and it remains the foundation of modern free trade. For example, imagine two countries, Dairyland and Cattle Country. Dairyland produces both milk and meat, but it's relatively better at milk. Cattle Country can produce both too, but it's relatively better at meat. If both specialize and trade, total output increases and both nations are better off. Healthcare follows the same logic. Countries with advanced R&D, like Switzerland or the US, specialize in pharmaceutical innovation, while others may focus on low-cost generic production. Trade ensures both can benefit, patients included. Later classical theories. Fourth, factor proportions theory, Heckscher-Ohlin. This theory says nations export goods that use their abundant resources most intensively. For example, a capital-rich nation like Germany exports machinery, while labor-abundant countries like Bangladesh export textiles. But reality brought surprises, like the Leontief paradox, where the US, a capital-abundant nation, exported labor-intensive goods and imported capital-intensive ones. Why? Because not all labor is equal. American labor was highly skilled, and skill is its own kind of capital. Fifth, International Product Life Cycle, IPLC Raymond Vernon. This model describes how innovation moves globally. A new product, say a medical device, is first invented and produced in advanced economies like the US. During the maturity stage, production spreads to other developed nations and eventually to developing countries as technology standardizes and costs drop. Think of MRI machines, once cutting edge and expensive, now manufactured worldwide due to global diffusion. New trade theory. By the late 20th century, economists realized traditional models didn't explain everything. New trade theory emphasized the importance of economies of scale and knowledge. Large firms like Boeing or Pfizer can dominate global industries not just because of natural advantages, but because of accumulated expertise, patents, and brand loyalty. Innovation, not just resources, drives trade. Segment 2: How nations enhance competitive advantage. The next question is, why are some nations consistently more competitive than others? The answer lies in the blend of comparative and competitive advantages. National prosperity depends not just on what resources you have, but on how you use them. National competitiveness. Economists measure competitiveness through productivity, often reflected in GDP per hour worked. Nations that innovate, educate, and produce efficiently enjoy higher living standards and stronger global influence. Porter's Diamond Model. Harvard's Michael Porter proposed the Diamond Model, explaining why certain industries thrive in specific countries. It includes 4 interlinked factors. First, factor conditions. Specialized resources like skilled labor, research institutions, or infrastructure. Example: Germany's engineering talent and Japan's manufacturing precision. Second, demand conditions. Sophisticated domestic consumers push firms to innovate. Example: Italian fashion thrives because Italians are demanding customers. Third is firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. Vigorous local competition forces firms to continuously improve. Example: Japan's auto industry, where domestic rivalry between Toyota and Honda sharpened global excellence. Fourth, related and supporting industries. Networks of suppliers and complementary industries form clusters. Example: Silicon Valley's tech ecosystem or northern Italy's luxury textile region. In healthcare, think of Boston, where research universities, biotech startups, and hospitals create a powerful medical innovation cluster. National Industrial Policy (NIP). Governments also play a proactive role through national industrial policy, investing in education, infrastructure, and RAN to strengthen high-value industries. New Zealand, for example, transformed its economy by focusing on biotechnology and agritech innovation. Segment 3: Why and how firms internationalize. Now let's shift from countries to firms. Why do companies expand abroad, and how do they do it? The traditional path internationalization process model. Historically, firms internationalize slowly in 5 stages: first domestic focus, second pre-export stage, third experimental involvement, fourth active involvement, fifth committed involvement. Each step involves greater risk and control. A company might begin exporting through distributors, then later set up subsidiaries or foreign plants. This gradual process allowed firms to learn, adapt, and build trust in global markets. The modern path: born global firms. But the 21st century changed everything. Technology, communication, and logistics costs dropped dramatically, allowing born global firms (BGFs) to internationalize rapidly, sometimes from day one. These are innovative startups, often digital or knowledge-based, that compete globally almost instantly. For example, Mojang, creator of Minecraft, reached global markets within months of launch. In healthcare, digital health startups like telemedicine platforms or AI diagnostics firms follow the same pattern: global users, cloud-based scaling, and instant international reach. This shift gave rise to international entrepreneurship, the study of how small, agile firms drive globalization through innovation and risk-taking. Segment 4: Strategies for competitive advantage. The final piece of the puzzle explains how firms sustain global advantage through foreign direct investment (FDI) and strategic partnerships. FDI-based theories. FDI occurs when a company invests directly in facilities or subsidiaries abroad, gaining control and influence. Global FDI now exceeds $40 trillion, reflecting how essential it is to world trade. Monopolistic Advantage theory. Large multinational enterprises (MNEs) succeed abroad because they possess firm-specific advantages, such as proprietary technology, brand reputation, or managerial expertise that local firms cannot easily replicate. Example: Samsung, with its world-class RAND and brand strength, competes successfully even in foreign markets. Internalization theory. This theory argues that firms internalize key value chain activities, like production or distribution, rather than outsource them, to safeguard proprietary knowledge and ensure quality. For instance, Procter & Gamble often sets up its own subsidiaries instead of licensing manufacturing to third parties. In healthcare, Johnson & Johnson does the same to maintain strict quality control for medical devices. Dunning's eclectic paradigm, OLI model. John Dunning's eclectic paradigm is one of the most comprehensive explanations of FDI. It combines three factors. First is ownership-specific advantages, the firm's unique assets, technology, brand, or know-how. Second is location-specific advantages, L, the host country's comparative advantages, low costs, natural resources, or skilled talent. Third is internalization advantages, I, the benefits of owning rather than outsourcing operations abroad. Example, Alcoa, the aluminum giant, invests in countries with rich bauxite deposits. Location, uses proprietary refining technology, ownership, and keeps production in-house for efficiency and control. Internalization. In healthcare, a pharmaceutical company might locate R&D in Switzerland, talent advantage, production in India, cost advantage, and maintain ownership of IP internally to ensure consistency and compliance. Non-FDI based explanations. Not all global expansion requires ownership. Some firms grow through collaboration instead of acquisition. First, international collaborative ventures. Joint ventures and strategic alliances help firms share risk and access local markets. Example, the Tesla-Panasonic battery partnership accelerated electric vehicle innovation. Second, networks and relational assets. Long-term partnerships with suppliers, distributors, and even competitors create economic value. Example, Amazon's global partnerships in India and China help navigate complex local regulations. In healthcare, similar collaborations, like public-private partnerships for vaccine development, combine shared resources and expertise for global benefit. Conclusion, connecting theory to leadership. Trade and investment theories may seem abstract, but they describe the real dynamics behind globalization. From Ricardo's comparative advantage to Dunning's OLI model, every framework shows how knowledge, innovation, and collaboration drive progress. For healthcare administrators and global leaders, these lessons translate into strategy. Recognize where your organization's strengths lie. Leverage comparative advantages in supply chains and technology. Form partnerships that align ethics, innovation, and sustainability. As you advance in your career, remember, global trade isn't just about moving goods, it's about moving ideas, opportunities, and human well-being. This lesson was based on international business